Hey guys, and welcome to Teal House Farm. Today we are going to make some from scratch pizza sauce. We are not going to use any pre-packaged sauce mixes, and we're going to do it using the leftover tomatoes from our garden. So all of these tomatoes I picked while they were green, and I let them ripen on our counter. They ripened kind of in odd amounts over the last, a little over a month, and when they got ripe, I threw them in the freezer. This morning I took them out of the freezer. They've been sitting on the cookie sheet for a couple of hours, so they're still frozen in the center, but they're soft enough that the skins will peel right off for canning, which is great. This pizza sauce is perfect for hiding vegetables in it from your children. Some really easy vegetables to hide are zucchini, cooked carrots, cauliflower. Today we're going to add some celery. We're going to add some spinach to hide. It's going to have onions in it too, but that's part of the flavoring. We are going to water bath can the product. Tomato sauces are safe for water bath canning, so you do not need a pressure canner for this. But we do need to make sure we keep our acidity up. So we want to make sure our final product is at least like 80% tomatoes. If you want to add meat to this or add a lot of secondary vegetables, then you're going to need to pressure can it. And depending on what you're adding, you will need to go with the longest recommended canning time for whichever vegetable that you're adding. But as long as we keep this the vast majority of tomatoes, and we are going to add some lemon juice or citric acid, just like the recommendations are. It's perfectly safe for water bath canning. We're going to can in pints today. I typically can pizza sauce in half pints, but today we're going to go ahead and do pints because we've now gotten large enough as a family that I need to make at least 2, sometimes 3 pizzas if I'm making pizza, and so I need more sauce in a jar. So we're going to do pints today, but you can take this recommendation, what we're doing, and can these in half pints if you don't need quite as much sauce at one time. So anyway, the first thing we need to do is we need to chop up our celery and our onions and get our garlic out and get those going in a pot so that they cook for just a little bit before we add our tomatoes. We are going to peel the tomatoes. You can make tomato sauce without peeling them, but I'm going to recommend peeling them, and I will explain why in just a minute. But let's go ahead and get started.
I'm just going to chop the celery into chunks. Keep the leaves, put them in your freezer, use them to make broth next time. No reason to throw them away. We're going to end up blending everything after it's cooked, so these don't need to be tiny little pieces. I then chopped the world's largest onion. Normally I'd say do 2 onions. Funny story, I ordered Walmart pickup, asked for a bag of onions, and they said they didn't have a bag, so they substituted it for 1 giant onion. So I ended up with this humongous onion. It seemed like a good project to use it on. Then we're going to add some garlic. JJ already put in about 1.5 tablespoons of butter. You could use butter or olive oil or any kind of lightly flavored oil, just something for cooking these onions and celery, and those 6 cloves of minced garlic. And we're just going to put them on the oven, medium low, stir them every now and then, let them cook for about 5 minutes. While they're cooking, we're going to go ahead and peel the tomatoes. You can use the tomato peels to make a special sauce. I can link that video below. But I would recommend only leaving tomato peels on something in 2 circumstances. 1, you're going to pressure can. Peels are more likely to harbor bacteria and yeast. And 2, you don't have the expectancy of a smooth sauce. When you leave the peels on, you get a chunkier tasting style tomato sauce. It's not real smooth. I want a smooth, nice, really creamy pizza sauce, and so I'm going to go ahead and pull those peels off. We're going to add them to our cooked celery, onions, and garlic, and I'm also going to throw in a little packet there of frozen spinach from our spring garden to use it up. Hide that in there. The kids will have no idea. We're going to cook those down for about 1/2 hour. Just kind of let them go. Leave the lid off so that some water can evaporate. We're going to get the water bath canner ready, and we're going to put in our pint jars to sterilize them. To sterilize them, we need to bring to a boil and then simmer for 10 minutes. We're also going to throw our lids in there as well so those get sterilized. Once it's done sterilizing, turn the water off and just leave the jars and lids in the warm water until you're ready to fill them. Our sauce looks great.
When it comes to the spices we add, this is where your personal taste is really going to come in. So pizza sauce traditionally has a lot of, or not a lot, but the heaviest taste is going to be the oregano. I'm also going to add some basil. There's already garlic in there. The onion's already going to give it some flavor. We'll add a pinch of salt and pepper. But what I would do is dial back on what you think you want to add. Maybe add half as much and then ramp up from there. Because you can always add more spice, If you over spice it, then you're really in trouble. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of basil and 2 teaspoons of oregano and just a pinch of salt and pepper. I'm also going to add just a tablespoon of sugar. I like my pizza sauce with just a hint of sweet. If you don't want to add any sugar, you don't need it. It is not needed for canning safety. The sugar is merely for whatever your taste buds like. So we're going to start with that. So that's 1 teaspoon basil, 2 teaspoons oregano, just a pinch of salt and pepper, and a tablespoon of sugar. We're going to hit it with the immersion blender, blend it up really, really good. Wait about 5 minutes so those flavors have a chance to infuse, and give it a taste test, and then kind of adjust from there. But we should be relatively close. This is usually the pot I use. It's pretty darn full, so I think we'll be close on that. We might just need to pinch a little more, a little bit less. Somebody's sneaking around back there. So it should be pretty good. I think that this was somewhere around 8-9 pounds of tomatoes is what we are using to make this batch, if that helps you judge what you're doing as well. All right, let's go ahead and add those spices.
We're going to add our spices. I'm using dried spices. Some of them are from the store, some of them are from our garden. And then we're going to hit it with the immersion blender once I add about a tablespoon there of sugar. And you need to be real thorough with this. Get all the chunks out. Then let it cook down about 5 more minutes to blend those flavors. And then we're going to give it a little taste test. It's close, but it's definitely not quite right. It definitely needs a little bit more oregano, a little bit more salt, and just a touch more sugar. So I add maybe another tablespoon of sugar. We're gonna blend it up again, cook it another 5 minutes, and on our second taste test, it tasted great. So we are ready to put everything in jars. We pull our hot jars out of the water bath canner, set them up on a cookie sheet so to help contain the mess, and then we're gonna fill them. We want a 1/2 inch of head space. It is kind of funny looking here. The perspective really changes. It looks like a 1/2 inch from above, but coming up from below, it looks a little bit short. But right when you look at it right on, it's right about right. And I do go through and top off any that look a little short after I'm done filling jars so we get it just right. We're gonna wipe the rims, make sure there's not any sauce on them. Then we're going to add our hot lids and our rings, and you want to tighten the rings to fingertip tightness. That means as tight as you can get it without using your big muscles.
And just to show you that mistakes happen to the best of us, I realized after I put the lids on, I forgot the citric acid. So we're gonna take the lids back off, re-wipe the rims, and we'd add a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid per pint. If you are doing lemon juice instead of citric acid, you add a tablespoon per pint. So we're gonna go add that real quick, and then we can load our canner.
All right, so we go back and add the citric acid. I add a 1/4 teaspoon to each pint and 1/8 of a teaspoon to each 1/2 pint. I ran out of pints, still had a little sauce left, so we're gonna throw a couple 1/2 pints. We're just gonna process the 1/2 pints for the pint processing time, which is 40 minutes. We'll just put them all in there together. Lower the rack, and then you wanna put a lid on your canner. And your timer does not start until you come to a rolling boil. So that means steam coming out of the ears boil, like that. Then we're gonna go ahead and set our timer so we don't forget, 40 minutes. Once time is up, we turn the heat off and leave the canner alone for 5 minutes. And then you can go ahead and lift your rack. Careful, it's hot, so use your sweater or some oven mitts and remove your jars. Okay, there we have it. I did 7 pints and I did 4 1/2 pints because I ran out of pint jars. I do want to show you one quick thing. You always want to store your jars without the ring on for safety. So it's been 24 hours, so I'm going to remove the ring for storage. And also, if you're like us and you have really hard water, you'll get this like white residue on your jars. I just take a damp rag and gently wipe it off. You can also add vinegar to your water bath canning water when you can. That'll help prevent this. I don't feel like it's that big of a deal to wipe it off, but now it's nice and clean looking, and we go ahead and label the top. So remember that this is pizza sauce and not spaghetti sauce, and then we're good to go. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.